Beckham?
The gang's back.
The gang is
Baby.
back. The original gang is back. We're back from Boston.
Back from Boston,
Back
baby.
from Boston. Has lots of clam chowder by the harbor. A lobster roll.
Did you have lobster?
We actually didn't.
We did not. I mean, actually, we had nothing from like.
We had New York style
Boston.
pizza, Mexican burritos, breakfast, which was like, I don't know,
Like
universal.
typical, yeah. And then we had chicken sandwiches with fries.
So yeah.
So pretty basic. Oh, yeah, we did have the Mexican burritos as well. Or quesadilla Lee got, but it was like definitely a burrito.
Dude, I asked for a quesadilla. She acknowledged it. It started like a quesadilla. She put cheese on it and was heating it up. It was like totally a quesadilla. It was on its way to be a quesadilla.
She made it in front of you?
And then she made it right in front of me. Like, man, it was like smacking a baby right in front of me. I was like, what did you just do? Like, she just put all the toppings on. I'm like, okay, so this is going to get folded. And then she's going to cut it into quesadilla pieces. And then
Like, how would you even how do you define a quesadilla? It's
Flat.
Yeah, it's pretty flat.
flat, literally flat. And she just rolled it into a burrito. The same thing that they got. But I ordered something different. So I was like, what's the difference here? And maybe I'm missing something. It was like authentic Mexican. So maybe like...
That's a Boston quesadilla. Boston gives a fuck about what you want. Just,
Yeah, like at the end of the day,
can I get some tacos? Oh yeah, for sure. They start rolling up another burrito.
Yeah, or they make a quesadilla.
Some nachos.
Well, fuck, I
Here
wanted
comes
that.
the burrito. Everything's just a burrito to them.
yeah, literally. And guess who we also have back? Storm from last week.
Storm's back.
Storm is back.
In
I
his-
missed you. I missed you, Storm.
I missed you guys.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the same with Caden. He's actually here working at the co-working space.
Yeah.
So we won't talk too much shit because he might hear us. But
We love Caden.
you know, he didn't have a meme ready.
Right.
Oh.
That way that
He
you have
probably
memes.
wasn't told to have one. Right?
Well, we never tell you to have one. You just have one.
Yeah. Yeah, you do a meme every single time.
Actually, the time our last episode, I forgot one. Remember? I'm like, I'm not even gonna front, guys. I forgot.
Yeah.
Remember?
But
Yeah.
you came back with the meme.
I have one today.
Okay.
I have
that's
two
good.
today.
You have two memes
to make up for it. See,
it.
like after the podcast with Caden, like he didn't message me and Lewis privately and be like, "Hey guys, like about that whole meme thing. I'm sorry." And like send us a meme.
No apologies.
No
Yeah, no
apologies, no
apologies.
follow up. Like you came back with a double meme this week. I think that's just like that chair's yours.
And you also acknowledged that you forgot the meme. He forgot the meme.
Didn't even
He didn't
act
say
like-
anything. He was like, "What's the next section, guys?" What the hell you mean? What's the next section? Is the freaking meme.
If you're
You
my
know?
friend, you should be able to join the podcast without any prep work and any advice and still nail it.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. So
When I was watching it back for the edit, I noticed he's like, "Oh yeah, if we can wrap this up soon, I have to go." It's like, who has a life outside the podcast? Like,
seriously,
I know.
you have to be dedicated to be here all night if Lewis and Lee want you to be here all night.
Yeah,
Yeah, he literally
here.
needs to write off the whole week. Literally, like
right off your whole life.
Like when you do Saturday Night Live, that's like a 28-hour ordeal. Like you don't sleep.
It's crazy.
well,
right?
the thing is,
This is Saturday Night Live in Canada, right?
well, Caden's parents have walked in this space before, even at a young age before they had Caden, and they saw this setup, so they know that he was going to hit up the podcast at some point. So I'm not sure why his only opportunity in life was not to prepare for this damn podcast.
Should have been literally part of his like. I'm his godfather.
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
No, I'm only a few years older. Could you imagine? Like,
They made a 4-year-old a godfather.
yeah, they made a
Just
4-year-old a
everybody-
godfather. What are my responsibilities? That's funny.
You must mentor him.
Sweet, but you know, we didn't get you for episode 12. I think that was your favorite number.
It is my favorite number.
So it's weird. Maybe you just like maybe it was like bad juju to like be there for that. you
Yeah.
know? Too much good in one place cancels it out, right? But you're back for episode 13.
My favorite number because of Grant Williams.
Nice.
That's why it's my favorite number.
Yeah, that
Grant
guy
Williams.
went off. Yeah, so me and Lewis saw the Celtics game. It wasn't the outcome we wanted. We went there for a W, and it was a very crushing defeat. Actually, like record breaking. It was like the first time that's happened in the last 283 playoff games.
For a comeback of that size, yeah, right?
In that, like to give up the game with that much time left
Yeah.
to lose. Yeah, so that was crushing, you know, against all odds. But the Celtics won the series, and we get to celebrate that still. And it was a good time. And now we're back to do the podcast. So I'm excited.
Oh, me too. I've been craving this.
Craving is a good word.
Yeah, it is a good word.
Have you been off for a whole week? Is that how it's been? Like we didn't do the podcast last
Yeah,
week.
we didn't do it last week because we were in
gone.
Boston.
Oh wow.
You guys exchanged a look like Crave was going to be a transition that you had planned before, but it wasn't. You just didn't know where to go.
Well, Crave in Canada, Crave TV, and we'll be talking about streaming today.
Oh yeah, it's on the docket.
Yeah, and what else are we going to be talking about?
Well, why don't I tell everybody with the intro?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Fast Forward Podcast. I'm your co-host Lee.
And I'm your co-host, Lewis. And welcome to the fastest growing Canadian tech podcast in the universe.
This week, we're going to be a little philosophical with conversations about VR and streaming.
And we're going in the air for today's rewind.
In the air. No, sorry. Sorry. Sweet. So where do we begin, Lewis?
Well, we have a thought experiment. We're getting a little philosophical. Storm, do you want to maybe explain kind of what you thought? We have some answers that we have prepared.
Are we diving headfirst into the philosophical stuff today?
Yeah, we are.
All right, I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
Sound like Gary Vee there.
You know what? I kind of do right now. My allergies are killing me. So like, I'm like, my throat is just dead. My nose.
Could
is
you
congested.
imagine like Gary Vee, like in the summertime when his allergies are gone, he's just like, hey, how's it going? Content.
The opposite happens for him.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. The thought experiment is, how would you shape the past if you went back? You wake up in the past and you can summon one thing from today times to help you on your journey into the past.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first, man. What would you do?
All right. So this was a very hard question because when I was reading the article that Storm had with it, it talked about you can only really bring something back that you kind of have full understanding of it working, because otherwise what happens if you bring an iPhone back and you drop it on the ground by accident, well, you're toast. So if I was back to, very first humans, my value would be is I would want to achieve is to create technology and innovation extremely fast. So for this, the only thing I would bring back is the wheel.
Wow.
And let me tell you why.
Why?
I would bring a wheel because the wheel is one of humanity's first inventions used to help innovate and automate work. Everyone knows how a wheel works, to some extent at least, or they know how to reinvent it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
That's good.
Yeah, that's.
So I didn't read. Are you still going?
Sorry, I'm still going.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, so it was used to help innovate and automate work. With the wheel, lots can then be replicated. This can be also used to process. This can also start the process of other philosophical and physics-based thinking to help with innovation. The wheel will also allow for humans to do less laborious jobs right from the start, so freeing up times to become better. Think about how long it took as human beings to kind of develop that first thought, like almost like when they first discovered fire. It almost expedite, like once they discovered the wheel, it made things go by so much faster. They realized all this stuff.
It's a web, and like once they unlock something, they just like unlock so much more. If you ever played the game Civilization,
Yeah.
there's like animal husbandry,
skill trees, right?
Yeah, at
Yeah.
the very beginning, there's like a few core like things that you learn, and then by the end of it, it like leads to like nuclear bombs and modern medicine. It's a good answer, Lewis.
So that would be mine.
You think they used that was fire back then too, like to compare everything,
They didn't
That
have
was
the
like
words.
the best invention out there.
Yeah.
So like the wheel comes along and they're like, that's fire.
Everything is pretty much
Like,
fire.
what's that?
So I actually did read the article. I didn't even realize there was one. I just did the thought experiment. So I also thought about the same thing though. Like, there's a lot of things out there that we could bring back that wouldn't be supported, like the iPhone, but even like anything that runs on electricity, period, you can't charge. Right? It's not even just about breaking it.
Could you imagine someone was like, I'd be bored, so I'd want to play some Candy Crush, bring
Yeah.
back their iPhone.
Yeah,
and they
one
forget how
charge.
to charge it.
And there's also like, I thought about like, how could I amass a lot of power? Because, maybe Lewis is doing the philosophical route, helping humanity. Maybe I can do like the gluttonous response. Like I got the stock market book and I can just make all the right trades. But I didn't know how far back I was going.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if that was going to be a variable in this. So I thought for a second, like maybe a gun, because then I can just go and like fucking run shit. Because
Yeah.
I got a gun now. Like no one's messing with me. But here's what I realized. if you go back in time, like pre-gun era, and you have a gun, no one knows what you have. So the only way to be a threat is by killing them. Right? like you point at them, you're like, don't make me do it. Like, do what?
Yeah.
So like the only way to really like implement your force and power is like you got to kill them. And that doesn't sound like fun to me. I was more like I wanted to wield the power so that I could control, but I didn't want to actually have to enforce it.
Here's the thing too, though, is that it did say in there that they all worship you. The humans already all worship you, so they have no reason to come attack you.
Sure, but like, is it the whole human race that worships me, or just like my group?
It's talking about like the first 100 humans.
Oh,
so it's then talking about, because I mean the thing is they worship you, right? Animals are, even to this day, still don't know that they can get shot.
So hold on. So it's the first 100 humans, which means we don't even have language developed yet.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Google Translate.
For our experiment, when we talked about this way back, we just said that we were going to pick a time that we wanted to go back in and then bring something with us.
Okay.
So this article was like a starting point. I think what Lewis said was like the main point of the article was, if you're bringing something back, you better know how to fix it or use it without anybody else helping you fix or use it, basically is the idea, right?
Yeah. So I guess my answer is a physics textbook. And I didn't really think of any time particular. I thought if it was random, it would be either two things. I would go back to a time where they could use it and it would be dramatically good for humanity, or I would go back to a time where they couldn't use it. And let's say it's like prehistoric fucking era. And at that point, nothing I bring is going to be of value because I can't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I can't literally like move to like influence the world. Like
Do you know what's actually hilarious too?
What?
If you like went back in time with just a physics textbook, just friggin' place a physics textbook close to where the humans are and then just kill yourself or go somewhere else, you just started a religion.
Oh yeah, it's a Bible.
Yeah.
Scientology, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't even know what Scientology is. Well, I feel like that's why I thought like a physics textbook that you get like things like different shapes, but then also like, you know, electricity and gravity and so many other things. So I thought that would be, you know, if I went back like 200, 300 years, that would be very valuable.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
about 500 years, it'd be like maybe less valuable, but that's still a broad window of time. So
Do you know what that reminds me of a lot?
What's
I
that?
remember reading a story where this one charity wanted.
you're good, yeah.
Okay. I once read this one story where a charity fundraised a bunch of money to get laptops to this tribe in Africa. And then they
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they ended up going to check to see how what
How
they're
it's
doing with
going?
them. And they're using them as chopping blocks. They're like banging rocks on top of it to like cut things.
Hey, how are the MacBook Pros working for you guys? Did you guys get into graphic design, or you guys making apps? They're like in a clay hut, like wearing a skirt made out of like feathers, and they're just like they don't even respond. They just look at them straight faced, chopping away. Anyway, interesting thought experiment.
Yeah, that was
So the answers are you'd bring back a wheel and you'd bring back
a physics textbook.
You want to start a religion.
I want to like give people a lot of tools to like move things quickly. And I feel like trying to unlock the secrets of physics is just too hard. So
would you be able to tell everybody like what they're reading in the physics textbook?
well, like I
interpret
didn't
it?
realize I was going pre English. Like I thought I might show up in like, you know, New England or something, you know, like, you know, or maybe Europe, like
You
early.
can say that though. You're able to interpret everything in the textbook to
Yeah.
show them how to like read everything. right?
Exactly. So like at a level that would be appropriate to benefit from that would be that society has language and understands the principles of like the words that we're using. And that's why I said a physics textbook, because textbooks usually have like a glossary in the back that like defines all of the words. So that way they would have like some understanding.
Yeah.
Because they can't Google it.
They can't- exactly. Literally.
What wheel are you bringing back? You have to summon one wheel?
Just one wheel.
Yeah. Like, so, like, yeah. What wheel, like, what does it look like? Is it wooden? Is it tire?
It'd probably be a wooden wheel.
Nice.
One wooden wheel so they can easily replicate it.
What's going on in the world right now?
Yeah, well, speaking of wasting a lot of time.
Thanks
Sorry.
for tuning into the podcast.
I don't even know what. Yeah.
Well, next up is phony baloney.
Yeah. All right. These are 3 facts that we thought were real, but actually aren't. Okay. So, number 1, Marie Antoinette never said, let them eat cake when the French people started to starve. Yeah.
So what did she say?
She literally.
She
there's
spoke in
no-
French.
Yeah, she said, she said bonjour. Yeah. No, she literally, there's no recollection of anything that she said. In fact, that term, let them eat cake, was used way before the French Revolution. So it was almost impossible for her to say that. I wonder where it said. Maybe it was just canceled. She was canceled at first.
Yeah, like I feel like they gave her a lot of issues, and she didn't really do anything wrong at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, telling all the poor people to eat cake sounds like a very like Hunger Games District District 1.
And if you look at a picture of her, she looks like a District 1.
Is District 1 the bougie one, or is it District 13 that's the bougie
Like
one?
the capital is where all like
The capital, yeah.
The capital
District
people.
1 is like almost that good, but
Oh, the capital is the
the
S
lap
tier.
dogs is what they call them.
There's actually a new, I mean, not to go off topic, but there's a new Hunger Games prequel coming out.
There is?
Yep.
Nice. I've only seen number 1. So I got to catch up.
They're pretty fun.
So number 2, the sun is not yellow, but is white. It is atmospheric scattering that causes the sun to look yellow. Now,
I knew that.
oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're fun at parties, aren't you?
I think All Stars are mostly white. That's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
even the sky's not
Not
blue.
the NBA ones.
Dude, that was good. That was fast too.
Damn, man. Storms, you're too good at this shit, man. You're
Not
way
the
too
NBA
good.
ones.
God,
Fuck.
that needs to go in the pod. And number 3 is that the Bermuda Triangle does not have any more shipwrecks or disappearances than any other waterway.
Then how did that story come about? Like why is Bermuda Triangle a thing then?
I don't know.
Maybe just people didn't want to market the Caribbean, like from a tourism perspective. Maybe this was like the whole like purse thing. Like, like the Middle East was like, yo, like let's make this like Bermuda Triangle thing a thing so we get more tourists our way.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of
Perhaps.
people in the West go to the Caribbean, hang out around there.
Honestly, it just might be speculation. And maybe like during a certain era, there was a time where like some disappearances happened and they just kind of related to it. I know huge in this conspiracy is that that's where like they're hiding a lot of people that said the wrong things about the government, right? They put them through Bermuda Triangle.
And torture?
Probably. We don't know.
Yeah. It could have been like something the cartels did. Like, hey, like this is the Bermuda Triangle, and then they just like move drugs through there.
You know what? That
Keep it quiet.
Yeah, that is probably the best description.
It's
Because
kind of
that
around
makes
that
the
area.
most sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many? Yeah.
Make them so scared. And maybe a couple accidents did happen because the cartels were like,
Blowing them up.
yeah,
Yeah. That makes sense.
little RPGs.
Yeah. But isn't that crazy how so many facts just happen
Just
for
happen.
no reason?
There's
They-
definitely a lot of fake news back then. People just like messing around or maybe even making a joke out of things. And then it just stuck because there was no way for them on a mass scale to be like JK.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
word got around too
Yeah.
quick.
Or to fact check, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
Also, now it's just like now we're so skeptical because fake news is everywhere. Like any rational person would check their sources, etc. But back in the day, I just took it for face value. I was like, if my mom or dad saw something on TV like Bermuda Triangle or kids at school, I'd just be like, damn, no way.
like pre-social media, fake news was like wives' tales. Like
Yeah.
our moms were like spewing the most fake news. And to be honest, they kind of are now too. But yeah, they were like telling now, like, oh, if you like don't go out in the cold, you'll get a cold. And like shit, it's like not scientifically fact.
No.
But like they're told the stuff. And then you just kind of believe it, You
Yeah.
need more vitamin C or what, I don't know. Like they just random things like, mostly related to like your health, which again, all of our moms meant well. But that was not fact-based stuff.
No.
It's wives' tales, right? Mom used to say like, don't let people look at you because if they look at you, then bad things will happen to you. And like the way she's referring to it is like, don't be like the subject of admiration because if you're like the subject of admiration, like bad things will happen to you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's truth behind a lot of it, right? If you're out in the cold for a while, you're not going to get cold, but you're going to get sick.
Everybody knows.
Yeah. And there's stories behind it, but it's cap for the sake of cap. And you never questioned it either. You just were like, okay, that's just the way it is.
Question what? I questioned everything growing up.
Oh,
And I was like really annoying.
okay.
Yeah, like I thought all of that was cap to my mom. I was just like, no, that doesn't make any sense about everything.
Damn.
Yeah.
Your poor mother, man.
Yeah. That's like my personality is like, I just like question everything
Yeah.
so much. So yeah, I was like very annoying. Like,
You're like to your mom, you're like, facts don't care about your feelings, mom,
yeah, just dunking on my mom.
I did too. And I've called her out on stuff later in life, being like, now that I know, I'm like, you told me, because I'm like, where did this idea come in my head? And she would just continue to make shit up because just to shut me up, because it's not like they could just pull it up on Google to answer my
Yeah,
questions.
you
what I
had
was
no
talking
way to
about.
verify it. Like
Yeah.
if you were bugging your parents with a question, they would just be like, "Oh, this is how it works,"
Yeah.
and then move on.
Yeah.
I didn't get Christmas one year because I figured out that Santa Claus was not real, and then the guy that was posing at our Christmas party was a fake, and I ripped his beard off in front of all the kids.
Wait, Santa isn't real?
Oh shit!
No way.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have told people to cover their ears.
My mom's thing for that was that he has a bunch of helpers because he can't be everywhere at once. So they're like employees of Santa. None of the Santas we see in malls are real.
But here's the thing: is like I exposed the guy, and everyone knew the guy. So it was like, oh, like we're being like this is an inside job. Like this is a family friend that's wearing a beard to con all of us. And I told all the kids, I said, look, he's not real. This is a fraud. I don't know if I said fraud, but I pulled it, and then they got in trouble. I got kicked out of the room. I didn't get chocolate. Like seriously, this happened.
You don't deserve chocolate, man.
You know how I knew? You know how I knew?
It wasn't white.
No, he was white. Yeah, yeah. You know what's funny? You know what the funny part about the story though is that it was the whole family was brown. So it was like family and like family friends and like in the community, the Sri Lankan community, everyone was brown, but he was white. But he was their white friend that they had brought in, and I'd met him before.
So how did you uncover this?
So I heard a motorbike outside, right? And then when he walked in, I saw him put motorbike gloves in his bag. And I was like, Santa Claus doesn't wear black gloves like that. And I heard a motorbike like 2 minutes ago. I think he arrived on a motorbike, not a sleigh. But we heard bells. Like guys, I'm like 7 years old here. Like I'm young.
Wait, you did this at 7
Yeah,
years old?
yeah. I was very, very little, or else I would have done that, man. Like that's not a responsible thing to do. Like I was very young, but I was like, I heard the motorbike. They're telling me these bells are the reason that Santa's here, and I saw motorbike gloves, like black leather gloves. It's like Santa doesn't wear black gloves. I think he wears white gloves, right?
I think he wears black gloves.
No, I think he literally wears white gloves.
I didn't know this detail.
Anyway, regardless, they were like leather, like motorbike gloves.
Okay.
And I was like, I think he pulled up on a motorbike. And that's literally where my head spiraled. And man, I don't know what gave you the confidence to yank on a beard, because what if it was real? You know what I mean? Like, what if it was a real beard? I pulled on it.
And the fact that you exposed, like, because the worst thing is you could have kept that to yourself.
Yeah.
You could have dreaded that.
No, but I was like,
you ruined it for everybody.
Here's the thing though, is like I was the victim in that moment. I wasn't trying to like expose him. I was enraged that my trust was broken. And I actually did it on his lap. So we all took turns on his lap. I waited till it was my turn. I looked over at him. I talked to him.
You're the victim.
I grabbed the beard. I ripped it off when no one expected it. And kids were crying. Like it was a fucking shit show, man.
Yeah, and you're saying you're the victim? Bro, you should be locked up
You're looking at him like
life.
caressing his cheek, being like, I'm going to end you.
And then just do it.
Pull it down.
Dude, you need to be in prison for life for that.
Yeah.
If that was me and you ruined my Santa surprise, I would never be able to forgive you.
Yeah. I wouldn't blame you. Rough childhood, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, rough childhood, man. Speaking of rough childhood,
You know what's a rough childhood, guys? Working as a fry cook at McDonald's.
I worked as fry cooks. I worked as many different types of cooks.
Did you?
Yeah, I used to work at A&W, worked there for many, many years. And I think that might be it, actually, in terms of my, in terms of fast food as a fry cook specifically. It was just hard to get training there, though, you know?
Yeah, and McDonald's in Canada right now needs 25,000 jobs to be filled across the country. And to do that, they had a really genius idea. And that was to develop a game called Crush the Rush. Is that it? Crush the Rush Crew.
Wait, McDonald's is making video games?
McDonald's is making a video game where you get to make McDonald's.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you play the game, I'm actually going to play it right now. So it's like in front of me. Basically, you're just like in the kitchen, and then the orders are queuing up, and it's super simple. Like I think it takes like 5 seconds to learn. All you do is you click on the machine that makes that item, and you fulfill orders. It's super duper simple. But then the main call to action in the bottom left corner says join the crew. And if you click join the crew, it actually opens like job listings in your area.
Okay.
So here's why I think this is kind of interesting. The target audience for McDonald's workers is like teenage boys.
Yeah.
Like that's the most common thing you'll see. You will see, the odd older woman or young lady, but like the majority of people that are working in those conditions are young men. Making a video game, super simple. strong call to action. I don't know if it's going to work because I don't know how they're going to come across the video game. I haven't looked into like how McDonald's is pushing this. Are they doing ads? Are they on the the App Store? Like I don't know what their strategy for traction is. But for a young man playing this game, here's what I learned from it. They made it feel like McDonald's is an easy job.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first objection when someone's like, "Hey, do you want a job?" And they're like, "Yeah, I need one. I'm in high school. I want to buy drugs and alcohol for parties, and I want to like have cool clothes." And then you say, it's at McDonald's. They go, "Oh, sounds like a hard job. I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
Right? So this game makes it like stupid simple, like by design. I bet you the game devs were like, "Yo, McDonald's, can we have it like where you can walk around and like move to different stations?" And they were like, "No, make it
pretty
so
interesting.
simple."
It is very interesting, but you know what? I think they're trying to target the even younger demographic. Like, if you look at it all, like all the characters are cutesy. It's like 3D, and like the game is like, it's not even fun because you just click on like the burger button to make a burger.
Yeah.
I would argue I played it and I had fun.
Yeah, you know what? Not gonna lie, it was kind of mesmerizing.
It gets intense. Like the cars start coming quick with the orders, and you have to and you can't press a button until the first order is done.
But it's like
It's intense.
It's extremely casual.
Oh yeah.
So part of what I'm thinking is that maybe they're understanding that right now people are not wanting to get jobs, and they're maybe looking at the demographics of younger people who are younger than the employable age right now. They're saying they're not going to want to get a job at McDonald's. So what if this is their way of trying to indoctrinate?
like try to prime these young folks so that when they're older, like they're like front of mind.
They're thinking it. Sorry, I don't say the word indoctrine makes it seem like a conspiracy theory, but like more so like they just want to
Influence.
Yeah.
So, sure, maybe. My first question would be, how are the kids getting the game? Because if they're young, like their parents maybe are like giving them access. And what kind of parent are you to like give your kid a game that trains them how to make McDonald's and then has a call to action to work at McDonald's?
Well,
Like-
you should have seen what I was playing when I was really young.
What were you playing?
I can't say it on this podcast.
Okay. Is there some weird games on the internet?
There's definitely some weird game.
Club Penguin?
What I'm saying is that kids can just navigate around. They'll click on it.
Yeah.
They'll get to it.
But these days, like when we were kids, the internet was kind of like unlocked. Like we were on like Web 2 unlocked.
it still kind of is unlocked.
Well, parental controls on all the devices, Wi-Fi controls.
some people
like-
are not doing it because they got to think
but-
too.
but-
Some are
but
not tech savvy like you.
Some aren't, but our generation is doing that. Like I know you don't have kids yet, but like my
But
kids are gonna be.
I'm talking about people that are older than your kids. I'm talking about between the ages of 13 and 16.
Yeah. They might still be unlocked. I think things are getting better though with.
Plus, also, who locks a 13-year-old's like internet access?
Oh,
is that a thing?
Oh, dude, that's the most important time to lock it. 13. That's the most important time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what do you mean? Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
He said 13 in his 13-year-old voice. It's like 13.
I just, well, I guess I'm just so used to what I
Like
never.
1 through 10 is fine, and then like 17 to 21, like they're doing what they're doing anyway. Like they already found a way out. 13 is like, yo, high alert, locked down.
Yeah, I never had access, like limited. I'm not sure you haven't either. Had
No, I
limited
didn't.
access.
I didn't.
So I just have my perspective is so skewed on what is and isn't like the acceptable age.
My experience with the McDonald's game, I'm 576 in the world. That's my rank.
What, seriously?
Yeah, I went off. I was going
Wait,
hard in the game.
Are you being serious?
Yeah. I actually played a genuine approach or time with it.
And how long did you play for to get that score?
Oh,
How lo-
like a few minutes. It was excruciating at the end, actually. Made me anxious. Made me not want to work at McDonald's is my point. But
oh, really? If you're good, it doesn't.
if like every 10 orders or something like that, you unlocked something, or at the end of every game, if you hit a certain stage, you unlocked like free small fries, I'd play it a lot.
Oh,
you know?
no.
They need to unlock. They need to have some more incentive other than just
Connect
a
it
high
to the
score.
app.
Yeah, like you get like 25% off your
That's
hamburger
smart.
meal, and I'd you know what I mean. I'd actually put a little bit of time in it. Like if I was going to McDonald's, I'm like, all right, let's toss on the game, and I'll.
It's actually a smart idea. Actually, I would just probably try and scam it, like try and have like an
That's the
automatic
thing.
clicker.
Everyone
yeah.
probably would. That's
Yeah.
the problem. So
That's awesome. Wow,
I'm playing right now.
you're playing it right now.
Yeah, I'm just like wondering like what score I'd have to get to beat Storm.
I
just to get context of like how hard he went.
What was your?
yeah, I'll pull up the score real quick. My score was 102.
So maybe for our listeners, just so they can play along too, like what's the URL so that they can play the game?
McDonald's Crush the Rush Crew.ca. You know what, Storm?
Do you know what would make the game better?
What's that?
So if you could smell the French fries while you're making them.
Yeah, that would be super immersive. Like, but how would that ever be possible?
Well, lucky for you guys, I have a perfect opportunity for you. VR mask for breathing. Okay. So, researchers have developed a VR mask for breathing. Users can blow out digital birthday candles or experience resistance training in scenarios where breathing would be hard. So, this picture right here, this mask accompanies your VR headset and allows you to breathe into and be immersed in whatever you're using. It has sensors to detect how hard you are blowing air out of your mouth, as well as a resistance valve to help resisting you from breathing. So the example in the video is showcasing if you're in a room with fire with heavy smoke in there, it's going to resist your breathing to kind of simulate that, which, is kind of funny because like removing your ability to breathe is not a function any developer should have, right? But
yeah, it's like, can you imagine that you're like the developer making the game and now like it's like the breathing tool is like a joystick and you can just like, it's like, there's like a number from like 0 to 100 and like comfortably breathing is 100 and you have like the choice to make it 50 or like make it 0. So what you're saying is that there's like a VR mask that like it's a giant breathing apparatus right on their face?
yeah, so
Is it VR or is it just a mask?
No, so it's a mask. So what it is, it's like the example that they use is they're using an Oculus Quest 2, and then the mask is like some sort of proprietary. It looks like a very like prototype look.
Yeah.
It's on a gas mask, and it uses the technology of a gas mask to kind of simulate all those things. But yeah, so this is a very niche software that I think will only ever be used in training purposes.
Yeah.
Personally, like I thought the fire one was like really good because, well, actually I have a story here. I remember when I was young, I remember doing a demonstration as a kid going through a burning house. It's very vivid in my head, but I think we went to the park and they had like this showcase, like trailer park where it was like simulating like a home, but it's like, but it's like smoking and you have to like get out, but it was like super safe, like not at all, it's somewhat immersive, right? But it was to showcase the dangers of fire in a house and like how you would escape, like how to, understand the dangers of a fire.
Yeah.
But I think this would be a great alternative because I mean, in that simulated environment, that sense of panic isn't there. Like I just know I'm just going to walk out. And I guess with the VR too, it's just you take off the headset. But I think that adding level of resistance, breathing is definitely kind of making it a little bit hard.
I mean, it's a facet of the immersion. I can only imagine they had like a game where like there was like some VR swimming, and then the game testers were like, "Hey, like the game was fun, graphics were great, but when I went underwater, I kind of wanted to like choke a bit. Like I wanted to kind of like lose my ability I wanted to drown." And they're like, "Oh yeah, like we'll get right on that." And they like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who asked for this? You know?
It's like they're asking like, in what way can we make this unnecessarily immersive? And that's one of them,
Like I don't feel like that's the feedback that you get. Like the game is great, but
I need to stop breathing.
I wanted to stop breathing a little bit more.
For like, if you're going to climb a mountain though, maybe different elevations.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one too.
Yeah. Like a mountain climbing simulation. Actually, climbing mountains is super dangerous and mostly because of that. So like being able to, and also like underwater welding and diving in general.
Or like skydiving, because I know like when you get that high up, it's a little bit harder to breathe as well.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool too, to like programmatically, like that resistance valve like kind of comes down, so that you are getting that true immersive feeling of skydiving.
Yeah, there's definitely like, I think more for the training simulation purposes, maybe not for gaming. But what other, like if that's something that developers are building now for immersion, what do you guys think is like the next most important thing? If you had to pick one, to add immersion to like virtual reality today.
Oh, it would be I would say it's like resistance to grabbing things. So like this the issue with VR right now, especially with hand tracking, is that I can't grab things without it. Like that simulated holding of something is just so weird. It definitely is a ruining of it, but it'd be cool if I had a glove that it understood like when to like at least apply a little bit of pressure so that I can like loosely grab it.
Yeah. So Meta actually bought a company that I was following a few years ago that was doing something in the space. And what it does is it has a bunch of like pistons behind the hand.
Oh.
And it's actually not from inside your hand, it's on the outside. And depending on where it is, it gives you space to grab. And then it like will all of a sudden like stop your fingers from moving
Yeah.
from the back, like from reverse, to make it feel like you've grabbed something.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's like on the back of your hand, there's like a bunch of pistons that come in here, and then they just like they're motorized, and they give you certain amounts of like if you're pinching something, you can go right to the you can just fully pinch it.
Yeah.
But if you're grabbing a cup, all of a sudden your fingers will stop at the precise moment your hand has grabbed the glass. So it creates the illusion that you're able to grab things.
Yeah. And that's what we need for true immersion,
Yeah.
I find.
I agree. I think for me it would be the platform, the walking platform, where I could walk in any direction, jump,
Oh,
and turn around, without having to actually like move like physically in the space.
Yeah.
Don't they have like a treadmill thing?
Yeah, they do.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not like available to everybody. It's like it's more of like a limited thing.
And what's hard too is that all this technology is so expensive at the moment. So it's not like like even arguably VR is not consumer ready at the moment.
The Quest is $400. It's like a PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's
But
getting
without
there.
the limited games though.
Mhm.
Like I find that the games are still like it's not you don't get it. You have to be ahead of the curve to get a VR headset, you know?
Yeah. So, but they're doing well. They're doing numbers. How about you, Storm? Any ideas or?
No, I think you guys covered it. I guess like smells and stuff, but I think that's like a way afterthought. Like I don't need to be smelling things.
Yeah.
Yet, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like way down the road after everything else is ironed out.
And how do you code? I get how you can code breathing apparatus and like just like limit the amount of airflow coming in and out. And I can get how you do the hand thing in the platform, but how do you code sets?
It'd be kind of like how the pop machines, like those Coke ones where you can combine like root beer and like they
So
just
they
have
have
like
so,
all the
so it's
cartridges.
like
style.
the cartridges. So you have like you have to load it up like an ink printer with
Yeah.
all the different combinations of scents, and then it can like manipulate them into things.
They like combine them for like common sense.
Yeah.
common
Common
sense. That's what they call
sense.
it. Yeah.
Love that.
Commonsense.io.
Common sense. That's hilarious.
By the domain.
Yeah, honestly, VR like next steps will be huge for VR.
Yeah, I think VR will do a lot of cool things with streaming. TV, movies. I'm excited to see that as well. And speaking of streaming, Netflix has announced some exciting new steps forward. For the first time, they're going to be rolling out unscripted series and stand-up specials that are live.
Not bad, not bad. I mean, how else? I mean, I've only been hearing bad from Netflix lately.
Yeah,
Is
they've
it-
had. I mean, so recently, just to give us context about the situation, for the first time, they've had declining subscriber numbers. They announced they're going to crack down on password sharing, which I just don't feel like they should have done. I feel like they should have just done it, not said anything about it, because you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah,
So, like, if you just one day were like, "Oh, I can't do that anymore. Netflix finally caught me," like you feel like you were the bad guy and Netflix got you. But when they're like, "We're going to crack down on password sharing,"
yeah, they're making it seem like
They're
you're
coming
like
for
committing
you.
tax fraud or something.
like it just makes you feel like you're against them and stuff, and like not in a good way. So I feel like that was a bad PR move.
Even like the IRS and the CRA, they don't even come down that heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Netflix is doing it for
their subscriptions, for their customers, the paying customers. Anyway, that happened, and then they had a big issue with like woke culture. So like a lot of employees were like complaining about like the Chappelle
I heard
stand
they
up.
laid off 150 people.
150 people, yeah. So they've been they actually told all the employees recently if they don't like the content we're making and it's going to impact like how you feel about working here, just leave. And it's actually been there's like a handful of companies now that are in Silicon Valley and otherwise that have taken that stance because I
Yeah.
guess political stuff is kind of destroying corporate culture right now.
For sure.
So that's the context. Like that's all like the things that are happening. So, but yeah, like this is actually really exciting. So Netflix obviously on the downtrend with how things have been going, subscribers, sentiment,
From a
publicly,
business standpoint, yeah.
internal culture. But streaming has started to feel like it's the same old same. So many streaming platforms are launching, and it's becoming like almost like cable. And the thing about cable that's cool is it's the live component. So I think that this is actually a great move to capture subscribers that really don't want to miss participating, number one, and then also witnessing, number two. I think those two things are separate. I think if something's happening live and then it's gone, it's not available anymore.
Yeah.
You can't really like subscribe later. You have to subscribe that day, and it's harder to get pirated content when it's not like downloadable. You know what I mean? If it's like happening live, you have to like screen record it, and it's a whole.
I also think it'll be just interesting for Netflix to do something different. Like something that I thought was so cool at first is that Netflix was like a technology company. You know, like, you consider them a tech company, but it seems like over the last 2 years they've just been a content house. Which fair enough. Like it was kind of smart of them to do that. But
Build IP up.
yeah, well, they kind of had to, as
Yeah.
you can see from these articles. But I'm just thinking it'd be really cool if Netflix can start innovating in the tech side again. How tech and tech and entertainment can both align together.
Oh yeah. I think like that was how they didn't become Netflix because of, you know, Stranger Things. Yeah, exactly. Or the what was the chess one called again? The
Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, exactly. Like they didn't become Netflix from that. They became Netflix because of streaming. Like simply put, just streaming on demand. And then the technology that they introduced to make lagging and stuff like a lot less of an issue. So yeah, I think the participation part will be cool, and the interaction will be cool, and how they translate that into content that's virtual. And I know we always go back to VR, but that as a medium is going to become a standard place to consume content, like watching movies and TV shows, and they're going to be filming in that platform soon. So I think Netflix continuing to innovate in that area will continue to make it like a leader when it comes to like new or on the horizon technologies like VR. I don't know how long that'll be before we're watching stuff like that, but I'm excited for it.
I love live. There's something different about live that I like about it. Like
The stakes, like anything can happen. It's exciting.
For me specifically at work, what I love is that on Spotify there's a lo-fi hip hop playlist, which is really popular. But on YouTube, there's the lo-fi hip hop girl. You know how like she's writing in her notebook, and there's always
by the window.
There's always 50,000 people watching. Even just that feeling of that music being curated for me. I know as a playlist, this kind of works the same way, but having that chat there as well. There's just something so nice about it being live.
Yeah, 100%. And this is why Twitch is so big, right? It's like the community building, like when you're watching the content while also community built around that content. Like when I watch, my pirated NBA streams, like there's always a chat, and it's always fun to watch them like just going at each other, talking crap. Like it's fun. It makes the content more exciting.
It kind of like being live almost forces you to interact with the community. Otherwise, it's just a YouTube premiere, right?
Shows like The Bachelor and like other like these like reality TV shows, they've even done like where the producers will actually have like tweets and stuff happening live on the show. So if you're watching TV, you'll see the conversation happening via tweets by notable previous participants or fans. And the reason they're doing that is because they know that the conversation in the community is part of the content. They're trying to bridge it in like this more artificial way, but imagine watching it and the conversation happening right there. Yeah. And they're not cherry picking what you're seeing, and they're just like, you see everything, the swear words, like depending on if you have it censored or not, but you see, I think that'll be really fun.
On Twitter, they have it so that when like a new episode comes out, like I remember when I was watching Euphoria one time with Sid, she was on Twitter on her phone because there's like under the Euphoria hashtag, like people are live tweeting their reactions. So it almost works like a live feed almost of what's going on and people's reactions to it. It makes it just so much more fun. So I'm very excited for Netflix to do that.
On the very last note on that, I want sports one day to combine with the Twitch method, where instead of just watching the broadcast, you can tune in and watch the hosts that you want to watch. And if you're an adult, you can watch like some personalities that might swear while they're talking about the plays going on live kind of thing. I think that'd be way more, because we're so used to the traditional clean broadcast, which is good, but like having different personalities like talk about the game. And
it'd be interesting too if like, because these big streaming people are like, they're official, right? Like they know how to talk with brands and such. It'd be cool if like Twitch or one of these companies could have some sort of way to pay royalties to the NBA for like the amount of donations and the ad revenue that gets going in through there.
That's actually a really good idea, Storm, because people are already watching, like, because like they don't, unless you have a cable TV, you're watching it on some like streamer app anyway. So if the NBA just gave like this like YouTube, like set up YouTube in a way where you could actually like share the rights, like share the pay with them as a creator. And then you would do live streams, and then the ads would still roll. But now they're like, people are watching for free because they're just on YouTube and they're it's AdSense. And then these different personalities are there kind of carrying the audience because the audience likes them. I think they would be able to get a lot of like the piracy stuff out of the way.
I would.
And also really engaging. So much content. Like think about all the viral TikToks and that would come from like
Oh yeah.
50 different personalities like freaking out. And I just feel like
I
it
don't
would grow
watch
the game.
sports. I don't watch sports, but I like content creators. Like I enjoy watching people react to things, and I think it'd be more entertaining. I remember when I was watching the Donda live stream. It was like Donda live stream, but I had to watch on Twitch because I couldn't find it anywhere, I don't think. But it was some guy's live stream where he was reacting to it. And although he was kind of annoying, I do see the appeal as to why people love it, because they'll be like, "Oh, that was so hard," or they freak out.
Yeah, and
You see their chat too.
Watching sports with friends, or watching anything with friends, is way more entertaining than just
watching
it
it
on
by
your own.
yourself. The
So
reactions.
if you can like build your community, then I think that's going to be the way for content in
Yep.
general.
I think that would be really cool to see, Storm. Live streaming in general is such a cool way to consume content. The only issue is that when you're watching something live, you can't hit rewind.
But right now you can.
Oh yeah, do you got a rewind story for us, Lewis?
So, on May 20th today, when this podcast releases, the first solo flight across the Atlantic and the first female solo flight, so the same day but 5 years apart, happened. So the first solo flight across the Atlantic was aboard the Spirit of St. Louis, the monoplane that Charles Lindbergh takes off from Roosevelt, his historic first solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. He'll arrive in France 33.5 hours later. Pretty intense. I got a question to ask to kind of wrap up that rewind there, but how interesting is it? Because planes nowadays, they always have two pilots, one in case they get sleepy, bathroom break, whatever. But imagine flying straight for 33.5 hours and then it being the first flight of all time.
That's actually nuts.
Yeah.
That's so scary. That guy is literally got balls of steel.
And he's a legend.
Dude, absolute legend. And then also, so the female flight, was that also over the Atlantic, or was that just a solo flight?
Yeah, it was over. Yeah, Amelia Earhart.
So both of them,
Rest in peace.
both of them, absolute savages.
Legends.
I would be so scared, just like because it's so new. And then like, what do you do if you crash? Also, 33 hours. Like nowadays, you do that flight in 1/3 the time at least.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, like it's
And you sleep half of it because you can, and then the pilot is like, I mean, not to discredit pilots, I'm sure it's a very tough job, but the technology that's there to safeguard pilots for not crashing into the ocean is there now.
well, it's actually the other way around. It's pilots are safeguarding the automation of the actual pilots aren't flying.
Yeah.
Like the plane flies, and they just like are there in case it like has an issue.
Yeah.
They're babysitting the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Like they fly themselves because it's like a specific route. I mean, I think they do stuff.
They do drive. There's no like autonomous airplane at the moment, but it's
when they're in the air.
they're
They are.
following the step. Oh yeah, because they just go straight for the most part. Right?
Well, they do. They turn and this all that, but that's all programmed. So they actually do. Pretty nice.
but,
They
but
like
it's not by an AI though. It's programmed by a human.
programmed by a human, but then when they start flying, it's all computer programmed. Like it knows what like the angle it has to face to go straight and then get to the other destination. Like
Yeah.
it does that like in the system.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's relatively new, but
It is.
Like
It's pretty crazy.
1927, and it's not like he had a GPS up there too. So the fact that he had to like navigate, navigate where he was going.
oh yeah,
would be
whole time he had a
spectacular.
compass and like it was
A compass.
Yeah, like that's crazy though. That's just so
And
scary.
then a woman did it 5 years later, and that was only 1932 at the time, which was before a lot of women's rights with a lot of things. It was coming along, but still before a lot of things. So the fact that
She probably
she was
like,
able to do that.
she probably emasculated a lot of dudes
Oh,
by doing that. They're probably like
thank God. Yeah.
like they're probably damn a lady just did that. Like at that time, there's obviously such a different gender
For sure.
perspective, and she just like proved that she had like more balls than like probably 90% of men in America at the time.
Oh, now probably.
True. Literally now, actually, I would argue it's like 99%
Yeah.
of males now.
Dude, she literally was like, I do not have rights as a woman, so fuck you. I'm going to fly across the Atlantic.
And probably like this like beater plane that was not safe. You know what I mean?
It probably sounded like a train.
It's probably like chugging like.
Oh, it was horrible.
Sus,
But
man.
I got a question here for you, Lee, and we don't have to get too crazy about it. But why have we so we plateaued a bit in airplane tech? we still are innovating in airplanes, of course, but think about how fast it was from 1930s all the way up to like the 60s, say that 30-year period. What do you think's next?
So I mean, I think number one, the reason it's plateaued is because it's good enough now, and like the cost of flying and the market's demand for flying have reached an equilibrium, where it's totally fine the way it is. And it doesn't have to change.
Do you think it could be a bit? I did see an article about how they were re-engineering the seats on a plane so that they can fit a lot more people on there.
Oh yeah, there's like tons of opportunities to engineer the shit out of the experience when it comes to like food and entertainment and comfortability.
I just mean like in terms of cost. I still feel like it's pretty expensive to fly.
It is, but what I'm saying is if you need to fly somewhere, the cost of flying is not like, it's not stopping you really.
Yeah.
Like you can get places. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like kind of reached like an equilibrium. Imagine flying got so cheap that like we could just go to like Tokyo on the weekend because it was like so inexpensive. I think fuel cost is a huge part of that. And I don't think there's enough innovation around optimizing fuel because we've had that combustible engine for so long. So electric planes might be kind of a cool
Do you know
concept.
anything about that?
I do, but I cannot disclose too much because some of it's like NDA protected. Like I have actually.
I mean, like public stuff.
I mean,
This
so
man's got a flex. He's like, I am the electric engineer.
so here I'll say this. I'll say this. Here's what I'll say. I'll say, you can't really, the density of a lithium ion battery can support flight, but you really do need like fuel for takeoff.
Because like that acceleration needs to be huge, right?
Yes. One of our clients has technology that can actually solve that problem. And just on the takeoff part with something that is very, very energy dense. So that's pretty exciting. So I think there's definitely potential for innovation specifically in planes and how cheap it gets, like to your point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if they're going to change like shape or like they've been like the same like form for a long time.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny with airplanes?
What's that?
They're just like they're always innovating only in one sector, in military tech. Which, do you know what? They're also innovating a lot in military tech, Lee. Do you know why?
What?
Because they have invisibility cloaks now.
You're telling me that invisibility cloaks are real?
You can go invisible now.
How?
So, you guys have seen Harry Potter, obviously.
Yep.
So this invisibility cloak, it's more like a big sheet. It's not like obviously like a blanket you throw over your head like they do in Harry Potter, but it's mostly used for hiding tanks and very large artillery. So it works by bending the light around a target to make it seemingly disappear. This light can be in the visible spectrum, or it can be ultralight or shortwave infrared light, making the material a broadband invisibility cloak. So yeah, right now this is only being used for military-related purposes, and it's funny because that is always where things will make sense at first. Is military.
So based on what you just described, I think the technology only works within a certain range. If it's bending light around it, it means that there's like a sweet spot where it's invisible, and then there's like a couple other spots where you can see it again.
That might be correct. Yeah.
Damn.
It's a good range because they use it for tanks.
Yeah.
And like if you're looking for tanks, like you are looking from a far distance.
Is there a YouTube video of this?
Yes, there is.
There is.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Oh, dude, share the link.
Well, I'm trying to find it. Oh, and it's developed by a Canadian company.
Really?
Yeah.
Shout out Canada. Whoa! Wow.
Here, are you seeing it right now?
Yeah.
So I mean, you can definitely see how it's kind of working because you can very subtly see his shadow in the background, and even when he holds up a version of it where it's him. What is that thing called, Lee?
Oh yeah, a riot shield.
Yeah, a riot shield. You can still see him a little bit, right? But at scale, like when you put it up really large, it really does make it invisible, and it's really impressive. So my question for both of you guys: what other uses could this be used for in day-to-day life? You know how here's a good one. They'll probably use it for police cars.
Oh.
To like catch like
they don't see me
speed
rolling.
traps. for speed traps. That'd be a good one, right?
Did you
there.
say they don't see me rolling?
They don't see me rolling. Yeah, because like, yeah, you'd be just like, man, that would be so whack. Like you're just sitting there like playing hacky sack on the road, smoking a J, and you're not supposed to be. And he just goes, "Boo! I got you." And you're like, "Ah, damn it!"
Oh, you mean like the actual cop is behind the invisibility
Yeah.
cloak, not his cop car? Just like he's like sitting there behind there. Like people just like are like, you know what? This sounds like a good. This looks like a good spot to smoke a joint right now. You just smoke it. There's just yo.
Any other use cases you guys can think of?
There's not really many uses for me wanting to be invisible. To be
Magic
honest.
shows.
Yeah, magic shows. But I find that magicians have already found a way to finesse the
True.
invisible.
Magic-
They're already using it.
Yeah, it could be literally.
What if like that's what it is? That Canadian company just bought the IP from Chris Angel, or like
Yeah.
he was like,
How do you do that? How do you do that exactly? He's like, "Oh, this is how I do my trick. My grandpa told me."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay, cool. We're gonna patent that. Make $1 billion." What if Storm was like, "I don't know, guys. I already feel invisible." As his answer. That'd have been sad.
Don't have a camera on me.
That's why I was
One
like-
was set up for Caden.
For the record, he did set that up himself and
Yeah,
brought it on
that's
camera.
fair. I'm just joking.
I'm just joking. So Lee, Elon Musk put a hold on the Twitter deal. What's going on with that? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, man. So Elon actually spoke at I think it was the All In podcast conference, did like an hour and a half interview, and he talked a lot about it. Elon Musk is unsure about the deal. He actually compared it to buying a house that you are told has 5% termites, but turns out to have 90% termites.
Okay.
And how he feels like he's been
Is he talking about this like the spam bots?
about like fake users, period. Just the number of illegitimate users. Because Twitter has said and stated in their like public filings that Twitter, so this is for all their shareholders, including Elon, who was previously a shareholder, that 5% of Twitter is like illegitimate users, fake users. And he made the purchase based on that information. And now he's doing an independent study and he thinks there's like substantially more. He made the comparison that there actually might be orders of magnitude more bots than what it describes. So he's thinking maybe like 20% plus.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if that's the case, his like the total monetizable users has gone down, which the total monetizable users is arguably what the valuation is based on.
Yeah.
So stock is plummeting and could get worse. And I think what Elon's done, which is crazy, I think he's going to finesse this app for significantly less money than he originally claimed, because the stock's going to go down once it's revealed how many are fake.
Yeah.
And you know, investors are worried. There's not really real people on there. He made a joke. He said, he goes, they claim that 5% of users are bots. And then he looked at the crowd. He paused for a minute. Does anybody else have that experience? Everyone just started howling because their experience on Twitter is there's so many bots, and they're like, you know,
Do you think this just might be a way for him to try and finesse his way out of this deal?
it could be 100% could be to finesse out of the deal, or it could be to get it for significantly cheaper.
I'm just like, what I'm wondering here, because here's the thing, 5% sounds pretty accurate to me. But then again, like the way bots are is unpredictable, right?
So most of the bots, and this has been done by independent firms, most of the bots are undistinguishable from real people. They have very good language, very, very good profile setups, long histories on the platform. Like it's so hard to not know. That's the issue.
yeah.
That's the issue. So
Yeah.
that's the concern, is that like Twitter themselves have actually created some of these users to blow up their numbers.
Gotcha. Part of me just is, I am curious about that though, because Twitter's pretty huge.
It's huge. Yeah. It's huge.
Are bots going to ruin live voting on Netflix shows?
Probably. They better do something about that before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you just have to be a subscriber.
Yeah.
You only get one.
And who's going to make a bot for every subscriber, you know?
Yeah.
You have to pay so much money.
Hell no.
That's a good authentication. I mean, that's a great example. So paid platforms kind of remove the bot issue, but Twitter's free, so you can just make tons for free.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what sucks too is that with mobile applications, or because they do require you to two-factor, but you can just create an infinite amount of phone numbers too nowadays.
Virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tricky. So my prediction is, one, he will exit and not do the deal. And I think he's actually going to build his own. That's like based on some of the subtext. I think his plans are if he doesn't do Twitter, he wants to solve he still wants the town square.
Okay.
So he'll build it himself, or he will buy Twitter, but for less than what he was supposed to buy.
Yeah. I think
20% less or more.
I think he's going to back out of the deal personally. I don't think he's going to be able to successfully recreate Twitter because Twitter is just like with their APIs and such, like they just integrate in so many places. It's
hard. They've been here for a while.
It's a way for you to vendor lock your way into society. It's like when people say like, "Oh, Facebook is going under," it's like Facebook ain't going under anytime
They're
soon.
they're permanently part, and I think that's why I don't think he's gonna take it out. I think he's gonna buy it. I think he's gonna buy it for cheaper.
Yeah,
we'll see though.
Because I'm wondering too, because they have to agree to a share price, right?
Yeah, they have to renegotiate the price. Basically, what he's gonna do is to say, "Hey, like I did an independent study, and your public filings of 5% are incorrect. Because they're incorrect, I was misled on the price, and now I'm gonna give you a new offer. But here's the thing: the new offer." And all of this bogus in the first place has driven the stock price down. Like if I pull up the stock right now, it's down. It was going up when he was buying it, but since this all happened, it was down like 7-8%. And let me just give it
it's a lot. Oh yeah, they're at $36.85. If I go to 5 days ago, or let's do 1 month ago, yeah, they were at a high of $50.36.
Yeah, and that was after the news.
Mm-hmm.
So he drove the price up. And then now he's drove it down. And when he announces what he suspects is and it doesn't even have to be true. He might say, we did a study and 40% of them are bots.
Yeah.
If he said that, stock is going to the basement.
Yeah. To the basement.
It's going down.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine having that, because he is a huge figure. 100 million followers on Twitter. That's crazy to think that he has that much power.
Yeah.
To like manipulate markets like that.
He's going to finesse him.
Do you think the SEC is going to come for him?
So the SEC, I watched an interview, and an old SEC chairman had spoken. He'd said basically that the SEC is definitely following the situation at this point. But if anything had breached the rules, they would have said something already. They have not. So looks like he's within the realm of like legal discourse. But Twitter is claiming that he's breached the NDA because he announced a couple of details that were private about the deal.
Gotcha.
One of the rules about the deal was that while it's between the signing and closing, is that you can't talk about the deal until it's closed.
Yeah.
So him saying like, talk negatively about the company because you would influence the price. And then, right. And he has done that. So whether whether there'll be repercussions, I don't know, because he's probably going to end up buying it still.
Well, I think there is a $1 billion fee he has to pay if this doesn't go through.
If it doesn't go through, exactly. So you know what's kind of funny? He's doing Twitter dirty, and Twitter really can't do anything about it. And once he buys it, then he owns the corporation that he did dirty, so he can't even like follow through with repercustions on himself.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's like kind of bullied the company. Not seriously. I mean more financially.
I mean, I would say that's pretty. I mean, probably both. Seriously.
Well, I mean, I think at the same time, if he wasn't told, listen, if it's actually 5%, great. But if all the shareholders of Twitter, small or large, were told it was 5% and it's misleading, he's more of a hero for the little guys to like actually like call them out for this kind of manipulation. If that's the case. If it's not the case, then he's buying it anyway because that's part of the terms of the deal. And if it's 5% and that's true, he's buying it. So I really don't think there's anybody he can hurt except for potentially the Twitter board of directors and the employees that work there.
Well, right now the shareholders a little bit too.
Well, if he buys it, he needs to buy it at the price it'll actually be
20% less.
Yes.
Like,
so
I'm pretty sure the Twitter stock has been stagnant for a long time. So people
since like 2013.
People will not get gains.
No, they won't. And here's the thing. If Twitter goes down 20% because of this, I wouldn't blame Elon. I'd blame Twitter. Mm-hmm. Why did you make a deal with Elon?
Technically, you reached an NDA.
No. I'm not, because either way he wouldn't offer the same price. So he'd be if it was 20%, let's say, he's gonna say, hey guys, I need it for less to make the purchase. So the value went down. So they were all like invested based off of false pretenses.
Mm-hmm.
So
shocking. Lee wouldn't blame Elon.
Yeah,
just being as pragmatic as possible here because if he didn't break the NDA, he's still not buying it for full pop, right? If you were told like there's 5% of them are bots and then 50% of them are you going to pay the same price?
No, definitely not.
Right. So he's not going to buy it full pop anyway. And then the public would be like, hey, why did Twitter drop the price
I think he's capping.
about the bots?
Yeah.
We'll find out. I don't know. I've never done any research about it. So he did
But
say
I can truly believe though that like bots are just as good as humans on that type of scale. Like that is something I do believe.
I guess it's a big deal on Reddit too.
Oh yeah, on Reddit is bad. I mean, everywhere is kind of bad right now. On Instagram, it's really bad.
Oh yeah.
But meantime,
So I'll describe it while you guys are looking at it. But it's a Facebook Marketplace posting, it looks like. It's in Ontario too, so shout out Canada. Visibility cloak, the same used by Harry Potter, $300. And in the first one, it says, I'm holding it in the first photo and I'm wearing it in the second photo. And the first one is just him holding
Nothing.
the invisibility cloak.
he's holding the invisibility cloak.
But you can't see it. And then the second one, he just disappears from the picture. So
I wonder if he got $300 for that. And I wonder if he like handed it to the person and the person was like, hey, I can't feel it. He's like, oh, that's part of it.
Shout out to Ontario. Because that's an Ontario
Ata
listing.
Wap Iskat.
I've never heard of that place.
Ata
so.
Wap Iskat.
Out of Wapiscot.
Ata Wap
Ontario.
Iskat.
Yeah, shh.
It's like the more we say it, it turns into a real word. It's like I just conned you or something like that.
That was awesome.
That's funny.
Great podcast, Lee. And thank you for coming back, Storm. Well, for that, guys, great episode. Any other, want to just
I think
cut us out, Lee?
I think just thank you for listening and bearing with me specifically. I'm so congested right now, but it's we couldn't skip this week. The storm is back. Rain or shine, stuff.
Don't need to apologize. We're
You're
happy
gonna make a
back.
storm joke. Rain or shine, stormy weather. We get to.
We're here.
We have to get through.
We're doing it every week that we can physically do it. So thank you guys so much for listening and staying tuned all the way through. If you want to give us a review on Apple or Spotify, please do that. We appreciate it. Reach out to us. We want to build some community. I think that's our next goal with the podcast. So if you listen, send us a DM. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram to check out our short form content. We make a lot of memes, have a lot of fun on there. And
Looking forward to hearing from you guys again.
see you next week, guys.
See you next week. Bye.